Hey everybody, Bonehead from the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Blood Bowl Dream Team's Dwarves. So we're going through every team in Blood Bowl right now, whether it's the rulebook, the Teams of Legend PDF, or the expanded NAF teams, and we're putting together a roadmap for what I think is probably the most optimal build for your team in League. So we've looked at starting rosters, we looked at team development. Now we're kind of piecing it together to say, actually, at 1250, at 1500, at 1750, this is where I see your team being. So this is basically there to try and put together my view of how to build a team across seasons. Now, 1250, 1500 and 1750 are great points in a team because that should be about 10, 20, 30 games in, with good things happening and bad things happening. Like I said, this is just my view, but when it comes to a team like Dwarves, lots of people hate them, lots of people like them, but if you're playing with them or against them in a league, this should kind of give you an overview of what players are going to have what skills and why. So when it comes to Dwarves, we're going to start off at 1250. You have basically two primary builds. Now, I'm not going to bury the lead. There is a third build, but that involves the Death Roller, and I don't think the Death Roller is particularly optimal. So that's not what we're going to look at here today. So 1250 here, you can see we've got 3 rerolls and 2 Troll Slayers. I have written 3 Troll Slayers, but you can only have 2. So whichever way you start, you'll either start with 3 rerolls or 2 Troll Slayers and 2 rerolls. It really doesn't matter. That's entirely down to your preference. By the time you've got to 1250, which if you're Dwarves, you're scoring 1 to 2 touchdowns a game, you've got reasonable fan factor. That's going to be about 6, 7, 8 games in. You're going to be able to buy whatever you're missing. So this roster here has got 2 Blitzers, 2 Runners, 2 Troll Slayers and 6 Dwarf Blockers to take you to 12 players. You've got that third reroll and you've got that Apothecary. Now Dwarves are tough. They've got block, they've got armor 11, so they're not going to die very often. But for 50k, for cheaper than an actual extra blocker, you can keep your players alive, because one thing they are is resilient. One thing they're not is particularly fast, so don't be expecting to get a ton of SPP on your players very quickly. You're going to score 1 to 2 touchdowns a game. It's going to be mostly with your runners and mostly with your blitzers. Everything else is coming from the MVP. If you're lucky, you're running the 1 pick 3 roller D3. If you're unlucky, you're playing the completely random in your team build. So your SPPs for most of your players are going to come through casualties and their MVP, which means it's going to take a little while to get your dwarfs up there. And that's okay, because you're resilient. That Apothecary is going to help you, okay? So if your Troll Slayer gets killed, you've probably got a good chance to keep him alive, because at this point he's maybe on 4 or 10 SPP, and you need to get him obviously to 6, and then another 8 to 14 SPP to get that secondary skill. So the Apothecary is a hugely important part of being a Dwarf player, not from winning games, but from winning leagues, okay? That Apothecary is going to keep that player alive for longer. However, you are going to have scored some touchdowns, and you are definitely going to have scored some casualties. So let's have a look at what skills we've gone with. So we've got 2 blitzers here. One of them gets guard. That player buddies up with the Troll Slayers. It's movement 5, which is decent. It's a very good player anyway. It's going to score some casualties and some touchdowns, and you're going to get those SPP. We're going to look at guard from our linemen heavily, but 1 blitzer taking guard early on means that you can always block 2 dice with a Troll Slayer. That's going to keep your Troll Slayer alive, and it's going to stop your opponent's players from staying alive. Okay, so you're going to be able to get that Dauntless plus guard, and basically 2 die block. Hello, son. Anything you want, basically ever. So that guard is going to be incredibly useful there. Now the other blitzer is going to be the one we start brewing up for removal. So 1 takes guard to support the Slayers. The other one gets to be a bit of a solo removal piece. He gets Mighty Blow. Now, you've got 2 runners. By now they've scored some touchdowns. The first one gets blocked straight away. I know it's not very exciting, and there's some cool things you can do with runners, but the thing you have to remember about block is that block is useful 16 turns of the game. It's actually useful 32 turns of the game. If that runner's got the ball, block is going to help you stay alive. If the runner doesn't have the ball, you've got a movement 6 block piece, which is the fastest piece on your team. It's got armor 9+, which is awesome. Strength 3 is great, but having that block piece means that you've got 1 more blitzer. Alright, so you're starting to build up your faster players to be able to do as much as possible. The other runner is going to slow brew its way up. Troll Slayer, by now, one of them should have swung a few casualties, maybe got an MVP, maybe got a cheeky Edge 4+ touchdown. Good job, you. It's getting Mighty Blow. Guard, Mighty Blow, this team here, and with the reserve here of your Blitzer, is going to start massively hammering your opponents, okay? As you start building up that guard mighty blow build, you are going to make more blocks, and the more blocks you make, the more downs you get, and the more downs you get, the more armor breaks using Mighty Blow. Now, by this time, there's probably one Dwarf Brockler that's maybe swung the MVP, but got a couple of casualties. Giving them guard is where we want to go. So one blocker with guard. As they brew up, we're going to look at slightly different builds, but the first thing you do is guard with that blocker. That's going to keep your front line safer, and it does give you an extra supportive piece when it comes to using your Slayers. If you've got one Blitzer with guard to run around with your Mighty Blow Slayer, the other Slayer can actually buddy up with your Dwarf Blocker with guard, and even on the front line, he's going to be very difficult to block, and he's going to have a wonderful time frenzy blocking along your line. That is a solid place to be. I think we're at 1240 for Dwarves at this point. You've got 12 players, you've got your Apo to keep your team alive in the long run, and you're starting to build up that grind. You're starting to build up your guard and Mighty Blow that's going to combo brilliantly. And then things get more fun towards the 1500 end, so we're pricing this at 1470. You've got dwarves. You've got all the dwarves you need. You've got 6 dwarves with an apothecary. You don't really need any more. So what do you spend your gold on? Rerolls. You want to build up that reroll bank. Now 4 is probably the most you're going to need, and that is, you're not going to need them very often for blocking. Occasionally you're going to need them for ball handling. What this allows you to do is be riskier. It allows you to take greed blocks, which I wouldn't necessarily count on, but sometimes you take a 2-die block and it's push. Actually, you're a dwarf. Take that extra reroll, go for it. Okay, try and smack down everybody that you can whenever you can, especially as the rerolls now stack in a turn. You're pretty good to go. So our guard blitzer has leveled up and has also picked up Mighty Blow, and the other Mighty Blow blitzer has now picked up guard. You are now creating that net, and these 2 pieces can be mobile. What's going to happen there is they're going to be able to buddy up with 2 Troll Slayers and just start smashing face. Also, what it means is if you need to hunt, those guard players with their Edge 3 and Movement 5 are mobile. Now, if you are in a dodge heavy league, okay, I wouldn't mind taking tackle at this point on one of those guys instead of guard. However, all 6 of your blockers do already have tackle, so you do have that inbuilt in your team. If you want a slightly more mobile angle, you can take tackle on one of those guys early on, but it's going to be down to you and down to the meta of your league. If I was looking for a tackle piece, I'd actually look at one of my Troll Slayers. Take guard of the Blitzer, allow that mobile piece, and then use the Mighty Blow Tackle Frenzy for the Troll Slayer to make 4 dice to try and absolutely make the most of destroying things. So we'll skip down to the Troll Slayers now. They both reached their 2nd level, and Stand Firm is a wonderful skill when it comes to the Troll Slayers. They're both on Mighty Blow, they're both on Stand Firm, but like I said, these second skills here, if you need tackle, if you need mobile tackle, then that's where they fit in. One Mighty Blow Tackle Troll Slayer in a dodge heavy environment, he's going to have a very wonderful time. If you've got Elves and Skaven and Stunty, tackle on the Troll Slayers. All those dice, all those death. That's going to propel them. So that's kind of where you need to be thinking here with Dwarves, is actually you've got some really good strikers. They are slow. You've got tackle cover with your blockers, but actually once you get a Mighty Blow on a dude, if you're in a tackle beneficial environment, then chucking it on there is going to massively help. If not, then Stand Firm on the Troll Slayers is just going to mean you are going to control those sidelines. It's going to massively help you with your cage game, okay, because you can put these guys and they become traffic cones. You cannot move around them, but also it keeps them safe on the sidelines, so you can have some pretty fun surfing shenanigans at this point. So, runners. We've got 2 runners. The other one's leveled up now. It's got block. And the other one, hear me out here, okay? There's a load of stuff you can do. You can take leader if you want another reroll. Don't think you need it. You can take accurate if you want to play a dwarf passing game. Good fun, but not optimal. On the ball is their best skill you can give a runner after block. Genuinely. Okay, kick's good, don't get me wrong, but OTB is going to allow your runner to be movement 9 on the first turn of the game. I know it's only going to happen once or twice per game, and it might seem like a bit of a 20k skill to waste on that point, but we've already got block. That skill is going to allow one runner to stay back and collect the ball, okay? That means you can then play 10 up front, okay? That allows additional strength, additional blocks. That secondary runner has got block. You are going to be able to then just apply more physical pressure, and that runner is realistically going to have a good chance at 1, trying to catch the ball before the game starts, but 2, just starting right next to the ball wherever it lands. OTB is a hugely beneficial skill for Dwarves because it allows extra speed. What does your team have? Everything but speed. OTB is going to just slip you in 6 squares of movement per game. But the most fantastic and sneaky element here, your opponent is not going to consider this. If they need to go for a quick pass to score against you, if they need to take a pass, that runner just gets free rolled 3 more squares. You get to move your movement 6 piece 3 squares in whichever direction you want. If they're going for a deep ball, if they're trying to move the pitch up, you've got a pretty reasonable safety at this point with a movement 6 block piece in your backfield. That is something your opponent is not going to be considering. So if they go for a pass, you get those 3 free squares. And you shouldn't really be basing your runners anyway, because they're the most vulnerable players on your team. Anyway, we've looked at runners. They've got OTB and block. We've looked at the Blitzers, guard, mighty blow. We've looked at the Troll Slayers and mighty blow, stand firm. With guard on the Blitzers and stand firm on the Troll Slayers being able to switch out for tackle if that is a good place. By now, you should have a couple more dwarf blockers that are brewing up. The first 3 get guard. That creates your iron wall right on the line of slaughter. It's going to be very difficult for your opponents to punch you. If they are punching you, it's probably going to be 1-die blocks. You've got block and armor 75, so you're probably going to be fine. But when it comes to just counterplay, it's just going to be every dice. Every block is going to be 2 dice, if not more. And the more guard you have, the better those slayers are on the front line as well. You're going to have dauntless, you're going to have guard, you're going to have frenzy, you're going to have casualties. Now we're up to the big time here. So 1750-ish for dwarves. This is where they are. Actually, you know what? They're probably better at 1500 when they're compared to other teams. But what we're going to look at now is the hidden strength of dwarves in Blood Bowl 2020, which is that they do not need anything at all. You can save up SPP whenever the heck you like. So we looked at the 1500. Actually, all those skills are great. But if you don't need that extra guard on a Blitzer, you don't need stand firm on a Troll Slayer, you save up those SPPs because you can just buy double skills whenever you want. It's going to take time, and that's why the Apothecary is very useful. But let's have a look here. We've still got those 4 rerolls. We've still got 6 dwarf blockers, and we've still got 6 positional. So we're still looking at 12 players. We can take another player if we want to. If you're in a league where actually, looking at the roster, we have taken this one. So this is actually 7 dwarf blockers. There we go. So we've taken an extra player to help us with that. Attrition warfare. At 1750, you're probably going to be coming up against some other mighty blow, potentially some claw pieces that might be inclined to take you down a level. Absolutely fine. Let's start with the Blitzers. Guard, mighty blow, they save up their SPP. There's nothing else they need. Okay, tackle might be good, but you know what? You've got tackle covered. You save up those SPPs and they can just buy dodge. Blodge, mighty blow, dwarf blitzers are fantastic. In the olden days, it was a sweet double. I've got a blodge blitzer. This is fantastic. Now, dodging around on a 3++ is not the best idea in the world, but it will significantly increase your chances at staying alive. It will give you a chance when you need to. But really what we're looking at here with the dodge is just that defense element. We've got guard, we've got mighty blow, we've got block. We want to fight. Trying to punch you back is going to be absolutely impossible. They're going to be pushing to get more than a 1-die block. And when you are blodge, a 1-die block is a very good defense. So that ability to just purchase a double there for the blitzer is fantastic. Now what you can do is save up all the way to 18 and roll for a stat up. I like the idea of just taking blodge on both those blitzers. I think it's pretty useful. What you can do is wait to 18 SPP, roll for a stat up. If you don't like the stat up, you can just take a secondary. So you can just kind of check down and go for dodge. You can therefore try and swing an Edge 2+ blitzer. You can try and swing a very expensive but very potent strength 4 blitzer. I just like going straight for blodge. I think blodge, guard, mighty blow on these blitzers is going to be absolutely fantastically just horrific. I love it. So runners, we've got block, and the guy with OTB, we give him accurate. The dwarf passing game is not where we want to be, but the ability then to move 9 squares on the kickoff and then make a 3-square 2+ pass, or 3+ pass, it just gives you that extra, speed. Accurate's not going to be amazing, but it does give you that 3+. But this is really a throwaway skill. At this point, you can do whatever you want. Leader's going to be egregious and unnecessary. What you can do is what we've done with our second runner here, which is exactly what we talked through with those blitzers. Save up to 18 SPP and roll that random. If your runner gets anything, he's going to be very happy about it. Okay, movement 7 runner with block is going to be great for your team. You've got speed. You're brewing up a human blitzer here. This is awesome for the team. And that's where you can realistically be with your blitzers and your runners once they've got those first 2 skills. All of this here, you can just save and take that roll. This is where dwarves can bloom when it comes to TV but also become something very, very special. It's very strange now. In Dwarves, you used to just get rewarded randomly for rolling well. Now you can be rewarded for playing well, for playing optimal, and for saving. And at that point, you will start getting gifted with Movement 6 Blitzers, with Ag 2+ runners, with Pass 3+ runners. Still not the skill I would take, but Movement 7 runner, that's pretty sweet. That just boosts your team up. To start competing with others, you've got bash, you've got defense. As you start building up that cheeky bit of edge and agility and maneuverability, the team starts absolutely humming along. So Troll Slayers, again, do the same thing. Save those SPP. Tackle on a Troll Slayer is a wonderful thing to have. Your opponent's going to be brewing up and they're going to have some blodgers. I'm always happy to take a 4-die block on against a blodger, especially if I've got tackle, because that's a pretty good odds to smack them down, especially when you've got Mighty Blow as well. Then you've got some blockers here. Once you've got 3 with guard, when one of those gets another skill, give it Mighty Blow. Otherwise, once you've got 3 guys with guard, the other ones start brewing up a couple of Mighty Blow. That's going to allow you to intersperse them on the line. That's going to basically make them all Strength 4, Strength 5 Mighty Blow pieces. And you're kind of playing with Boneheadless Ogres at that point once you've built that guard net. You don't need more team rerolls. You've got your Apothecary. All you're doing at this point is using your blockers to create guard, Mighty Blow, Ultimate Lineman, Ultimate Blocker Lineman. And then these guys here can just save up the SPP. And that's not something I expected to have happen with Dwarves. You kind of feel like there's going to be a ceiling. In this edition, there isn't. And this is going to be something to watch out. And probably something that people haven't really considered. Dwarves don't need a lot. So you can start saving for that 18 SPP or whatever it is at this point, 20, 24 SPP to roll for those stat ups. You're going to get them with the Apothecary, with your armor, and you've just got time to brew up some really powerful and next level dwarf teams. Now, dwarves are incredibly useful to keep agility teams in check. All right, dwarves are the policemen of Blood Bowl. Okay, they are there. They are the fun police at times, but they're there to just stop those agility teams from running away with it. Dwarves will reward you from playing optimally, from playing carefully, but as you save up those SPP, you can kind of run random. You can run hot, and you can build something incredibly special when it gets to 1600 plus. And I'm quite excited to start seeing that happen. Anyway, guys, thank you ever so much for watching. Please let me know what you think about dwarves. Please let me know what other skills you think are going to be great. I want these videos to be a really good comment section for people who are planning to run dwarves or playing against dwarves, to kind of have a look down there and see what else is going on, what else you think is really good. But for now, I'm going to disappear. Thank you ever so much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the show even further, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Or come and join us in our Patreon, link below, where you get early access to our content and monthly competitions. See you later.